Hey, Dad. I was just having some more thoughts for the past couple days, and there's a reason why. Also, why I haven't been posting as frequently as I wanted. But it has to do with the whole point of this video right now. I it's just been floating in my head. One of your complaints when we had lived in your house is that we would stay up really late at night. Well, there was a reason for that. There was a reason for it, and it still continues to this very day. In fact, I didn't get to bed until about 1 or so in the morning last night because of. Let me just explain it. It goes back to what I can guess what your many issues were when we were living in your house, that it wasn't going to be as you hoped, or at least what I can guess what you had hoped. The reason why we had those late nights is because we have special needs children, and their care is paramount to us. It's always been that way. It's always been that way. I had to struggle with it a bunch of times because I had to relearn a different dynamic about raising a family, especially when it comes to special needs children. And I can understand and have some kind of compassion for you that you didn't understand, and you were struggling with trying to understand it, and all the while trying to keep control of your own household. Well, the reason why that we stayed up late at night is because oftentimes, well, I'll just be upfront, that I didn't have any real free time for myself until all my boys are asleep, you know. And at that time, I'm still wound up from the events of the day, so I would go on my computer, play my stupid game until I get tired, and then I go to bed. You know, it's just that simple. It is just that simple. How can I continue this? It was just a few short times, and I know that you were very concerned about your electric bill and your utilities and stuff. Well, that comes with having 6 extra people living in your house. You had you, and you had AJ Jr., little AJ there as well. And then you invited me, my wife, and our 4 sons to come live at your house. You know, and we see that. I can't even talk right now. I'm a little tired. It, we still, to this day, I still to this day see that as a great blessing, and it was a wonderful offer that you made. But things just quickly become to, oh, what's the word? Things quickly unraveled, I think, when you saw the reality of what Gina and I had to do to raise my family, to raise our family. It was difficult, and it's still to this day difficult, especially now. It's more difficult now than it was when those few months that we lived in your house. Nowadays, I'll just say, especially the past year or so, I think it's a little more than a year, especially with what Jasper's going through, it is not uncommon, especially now, that we don't get to bed until midnight. Now Silver gets to bed. He goes to bed on his own. He's 19. He's a grown man now. He sets his own sleep schedule. He's learning the benefits and the consequences of setting what time to go to sleep, you know, taking care of himself, things like that. Now for Micah, he's in high school. He's learning that there is consequences for staying up really late, and me calling him at a little after 6 in the morning, no, usually around 6:30 in the morning, to say, hey, time to get up, we leave at 7. He's learning that too. But when it comes to our special needs sons, Jade, he goes to bed. He's easy to get to sleep. He brushes teeth, floss. He gets his ice water for the night. There's something to sip on when he wakes up. When he gets thirsty, he's easy to get to bed. No real problem with him. Of course, occasionally, sometimes I come up and I see his little TV on and he has his little tablet going, and then I have to remind him gently, lovingly, but firmly tell him, hey, you need to sleep. So turn off the TV. You know, he understands that. Now, as for Jasper, his sleep schedule is badly messed up because of the physical things he's going through with the inflamed and swollen esophagus, sensory issues with him swallowing, actually getting nutrition into him, and how he lost 70 pounds because of it. And it got to the point where we had to take him down to the Bay Area to specialists to have that G-tube, that feeding tube, surgically implanted into him so he can get some nutrition. Well, the good thing is that he's getting some of that weight back. He's actually developing, he went from skeletal almost to getting a gut again. And that tells me he's getting his nutrition. Right now he's on a fixed feeding schedule. Usually comes home from school. That's around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when we give him his next feeding. And for every hour to 2 hours in between, he has several meals a day through that feeding tube that comes in that bag. And it goes through that pump and goes into his feeding tube in his abdomen. And that is very important. That is very, very important. Just so that he can get the nutrition that he absolutely needs. And that the timing has to be just so. It's usually around 3 o'clock, and then another one at 5, and another one at 7. Then at 9, that's when he gets most of his meds. And then his overnight one is started anywhere between 11 to midnight, and sometimes 1 in the morning, depending on what happens during the day. And during that time, it has to delay because sometimes he gets hungry and he wants to actually eat something. It's not just getting all that food through the tube. Sometimes he gets a actual taste bud craving for something to eat. So we try to encourage him to eat that around 8 o'clock. Sometimes we forget, and sometimes that pushes the overnight feeding over till midnight, 1 in the morning. That's on us. That's on us for us not encouraging him to eat something solid that way, you know. It's, I tell you all that. I tell you all this to tell you that even to this very day, and the very reason why we stay up late at night is mostly because of the care of our children. It's not that we're staying up all night, smoking weed, drinking a bunch of booze, and basically partying until we collapse. We don't do that. I was accused of this before, back when I was going to HSU. It wasn't that. It was not. The worst drugs I had in there was some Tylenol 4, which was basically a form of codeine because I had badly hurt my hand at school. That was the worst drug I had in the house. And maybe some champagne and maybe some of the beer that I had in there that I was mostly cooking with. But that was way back when. But I guess I'm still, well, the memory of it. The memory that was one of your complaints, especially when you took us to court, that we were staying up to all hours of the night and burning your electricity and you're living on a very fixed income and blah, blah, blah. I understand your concerns, but I'm just making this video to let you know that those 3 months that we lived there at your house, the extra wattage that went through the meter that you had to pay, that we were paying for as well, as per our agreement, was not being spent on destroying your house or ruining you financially. Anyway, I'm just getting that out. That's the whole point of this journal. I hope you see this someday and that you could understand it. Just know this, that I have hardly any time to even get a haircut. I mean, look at that. It's sad. Care of our children are paramount and foremost. Anyway, talk to you again.